you so much for taking the time to speak with me. First things
Thanks for
first,
having me.
it is a pleasure. How are you doing at the moment?
We're doing very good. We're all happy the album is finally out, and now we have a little bit time to chill. We're gonna play some shows in the end of July and the beginning of August, and yeah, at the moment everything's really good.
So you are actually in a relaxed stage, because the common misconception is that you release the album and then, hey, you can sit back and relax. But of course, the work doesn't stop. So you are actually able to relax at the
Nah,
moment.
it doesn't, but it's way more comfortable than before, because before the album's coming out, you got to work on all the music videos and everything, and on the promotion, on the marketing, and we still have to do a few of those things, but not the amount that we had before, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And we are like over halfway through 2023 now. Are you satisfied with what you've managed to accomplish so far this year? Of course, releasing the album is the major thing, but alongside that,
Definitely. I mean, we didn't had any expectations, because uh yeah, like for me and for Marvin, the other guitarist, the music thing is something really special, and we playing music because we have a really deep connection, a really big love to music. So it isn't that important to us what's happening after an album releases, you know. But of course, we're really happy so far with all the people, all the reviews, and uh, people seem to like it very much. And of course, that's a great feeling.
do you find yourself paying a lot of attention to that side of things? It's easy to get buried under a mound of, well, not even just reviews. You're talking about comments on social media and stuff like that. Do you dig into it, or do you just kind of wait till it comes your way?
It depends. To be honest, I'm not really hanging around a lot on social media, because
Mm.
it's not really my thing. But of course, sometimes you look through the comments, and on the music videos on YouTube, especially. Of course, we're curious how the people like it, and what they think of it, and it's always really exciting to go through the comments. There are good ones, there are bad ones, there are funny ones. It's great.
Have you seen much in the way of bad? Because I went looking, and it is, as you said, predominantly good.
Yeah, it is. I mean, uh, I gotta say, on this record, people are criticizing it, but I think a critic is always good. It isn't a bad thing, you know.
Hmm.
So yeah, we've seen a lot of stuff like, it sounds like Lorna Shore, which is okay if you think so. I mean, Lorna Shore were also influenced on the record, and yeah, to be compared to one of the biggest bands at the moment, I mean, not a bad thing. Seems like we're doing something right.
It's certainly not a
But
comparison I would have jumped for. But hey, each to our own, right?
yeah,
Um,
exactly.
have you been interested in the response specifically to Lucas, obviously being on vocals, but because of course this was a major showcase of his abilities and so on, and the general response again has been predominantly positive. Is that an area that you've particularly cared about as much because you want to see how people feel about his voice?
Uh, I gotta be honest, not really, because I think he's a great vocalist,
Mm,
and I didn't really accept people to be like, oh, he's not good or anything, because he's super good. He's a great
yeah.
vocalist, so I wasn't like worrying about it, you know?
No, there's no question in that. It's certainly one that jumped was really interesting to me because, of course,
Yeah.
in any band, a change of vocalist is a big deal in most circumstances. It can often throw things off, but it seems to have been so widely accepted and enjoyed by people that it almost
Mhm.
feels just completely normal now.
Yes, definitely.
Um, what did you want to deliver with this album? Take me back to, if you can, the earliest point when you thought, right, this is going to be an album. We're working on this and we know what we want to do. Did you have a clear vision of what you wanted to do?
Uh, yes, definitely. It's I always explain it like this. We never have like a certain vision. It's more like the thing I told you before, that Marvin and me, we're super big music lovers.
Mm.
And the goal we have with every record is to create something new, something unique, bring something new to the table, and put all our influences of all the different bands we have into one thing and make it work. So that's always the goal for us. We try to have like concept albums and stuff like that, but it doesn't work for us.
Is that getting easier? Did you find the process a little bit easier this time round? Because taking all these influences and ideas and putting them into a pot and stirring it up could create a mess, inevitably.
Yeah, I mean, we have songs on the record. For example, Norlis. It was a song I wrote that song in one day. It was super quick. It was super easy. Uh, Another one like Arrogance of Agony was actually a song I didn't wrote for Mental Cruelty. It was a song I wrote a few years ago, but it's like I showed it to Marvin, and Marvin was like, "Oh, that's a cool song. Why shouldn't we use it for Mental Cruelty?" And I was like, I don't know, but it worked. We tried it and it worked. And but we have other songs like Obsesses a Demonio or Mortal Shells. We put a lot of effort in those songs, or Symphony of a Dying Star as well. But yeah, you have those kind of songs that just flow when you write them, and you have other songs where you work for like months and you don't really know how to finish them. You don't really know which part needs
Mm.
to be the climax and stuff like that. uh, I think it is really important to have like dynamics in your songs, so it's rather interesting and not like, oh, okay, this part again, this part again. All right, now this, that it's more like interesting and you actually want to know what's happened afterwards. So it depends. It's always
Mm.
different.
Did a lot end up on the floor, as it were? Did you cut out quite a bit, push a lot to the side, or was it quite concise when it came down to it?
We have a lot of stuff on the side. I think we have probably like 20 files, 20 like not fully written songs, but like 2-minute songs or just like a couple of riffs. And yeah, but it was quite hard to, like I said, we have so many influences, so many
Mm.
bands we take influences from. We have stuff like Winter Sun, Emperor, Gojira, Behemoth, so many different bands, so many different genres. Vadruna, Heilung, uh, also the folky side of things.
Yeah.
And sometimes it gets a little bit, like you said, it gets a mess sometimes. You try to put everything into one song and then you realize, it doesn't work like I thought. And then you have to rethink everything, but you never know. Maybe we're gonna use some of those riffs or songs on the next record. You never know.
Of
We're gonna see.
course. Of course, that's the joy of just putting it to the side rather than throwing it away. Hey, come back to this in a couple of years' time when you've
Exactly.
got some new ideas and new experience, and suddenly it turns into something special.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, then for you, what was some of the bigger challenges you faced when working on this record? And it's really any part of the process, be it the writing, recording, mixing, mastering, all of those stages.
Uh, Let me think.
Hmm.
I think the hardest part was probably always when you write an album, the final recording stage is always a pain in the ass, because we are very picky when it comes down to recording. We're not like everything has to be on the grid, and we also don't like to slow things down, because you can always play the riff slower and how do you say it, program them faster afterwards.
Yeah.
But I'm a little bit of an old school guy, and I want to have everything like humanly, and that is always a big challenge. Uh, but I think the to get a cohesive and not a messy album, I think that was quite a challenge for us, because, like I said, all the influences, it can get quite messy.
but your satisfaction with it, do you think it is a good reflection of exactly where mental cruelty is at and has been for the past year or so?
Yes, I think so. We already have some ideas for the new record, and not like songs or anything, but just a vision, what we
Mm.
want to have on the next record, what we want to get rid of. We definitely want to experiment a lot more, and try to push the newer stuff we have on the songs a little bit further, you know. Maybe adding a little bit more cleans, getting rid of breakdowns that maybe doesn't make a song better, you know. Um, and it's always a process, you know. When we wrote Zwielicht and we had everything song finished, I was like, oh, that's a great record. And then like 1 or 2 months later, because we finished the record in, I think we were done with songwriting in September last year,
Mm.
and Josh was mixing the record in October. And yeah, when you at that time I listened to that record and I was like, oh, it's sounding so great, such cool songs. And then a month or 2 months later, I was like, damn, this section on this song isn't really good, or it could be done better. And it's always like that. With it was
Yeah.
the same with The Hill to Die Upon. And I mean, it's always good to have a deadline for an album, you know, so you don't mess up the process, you know, because if you don't have a deadline, you're gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna do songwriting today, and then doesn't work like you want to, and then you're like, ah, screw this, I'm gonna play some video games or whatever. But when you have a deadline, you're like more focused, you know, like, ah, maybe it doesn't work out at the moment, but I have to make it work, you know. And it's a good thing, but on the other side, it's also a bad thing because sometimes you can't really make things work how you want, you know. But yeah, it will always be like that, and I have that
Yeah.
with Zwielicht now, and but it pushes you on the other side, you know. It pushes me to try to make it better on the next record, try to be a little bit more focused, and it's always a good thing.
You think you're your own worst critic then? Because you do look at it back with that critical eye and you do wonder what you could do differently.
Yeah,
You are right.
definitely.
Yeah, you are 100% right, of course, because if you had infinite time, you would just keep snipping and changing and messing around to the point where who knows what you'd end up with.
Exactly, and we had that with songs we thought they were finished, and then months later we were like, ah, no, we have to work on it again. And then we started working on them again, and it got super messy. And then one day we were like, ah, fuck it, just let this song be finished. And then we start working on it again, and then we're like, okay, that's a good idea, that's a good idea. And we don't really think about it a lot, you know, and then it works.
But sticking with the processes, to the release of the album, what about areas that you really enjoyed doing this time around? Perhaps even something where you learned something new about yourself.
I really enjoyed doing the clean vocals on that record. I think it gives the record a little bit uh, a new layer, you know. And with clean vocals, I think you have different emotions, and the songs talk different to people, if you can say it like that.
Mm.
Uh, and I really enjoyed the cleans, and also the interlude we did, Zwielicht. It's actually like a folk song, but yeah, we loved doing it. It was so much fun, and we tried so much different things, and we got out of our comfort zone, you know. And that was really fun, because if you just like stick to your roots and just doing the same thing over and over again, it gets really exhausting and really annoying, because sometimes you try to write something you had on the record before, and it just gets really exhausting and boring, you know.
Mm. You've got to keep it fun for yourself, you know,
Exactly.
and nobody, I don't think anyone, even the most ardent early days Mental Cruelty fan, would want you to be stifled as an artist. They want to see you grow. They want to see
Exactly.
you progress.
Yeah.
Is there a particular track from the album that means more to you personally than any other? And if so, what is it and why?
Um, that's a good question. Uh, probably Arrogance of Agony.
Yeah.
Uh, like I said, because it was a song that wasn't really, I didn't wrote it for Mental Cruelty. It was a
Yeah.
really personal song, and Lucas also did some great lyrics with it. I had some, I'm not really able to write cool lyrics because my English is not my native language,
Mm.
so it's kind of hard for me to write lyrics in English, and also I'm not really yeah, sometimes I have like cool sentences or uh how do you say it, cool phrases,
Oh, yeah.
but I can't like put together like a whole song lyric wise. And Lucas helped a lot with that, and yeah, I think it's a great song, and it's different when you listen to it to all the, if you compare it to all the other songs on the record, but it has a certain groove, a certain flow, and I really enjoyed it, and the atmosphere and everything.
Fantastic. And similar to that, is there a particular track from the album that you've been surprised by the response to? One that seems to have really captured the listeners' minds and hearts more than any other?
Uh, I don't know if you could say surprised,
Mm.
because when I the first time I heard the finished mix of Obsesses a Demonio, I was like, oh, I think people gonna like it, and most people like it. It's the streams are going very well on that song, but also I was quite impressed of seeing how many people like the Arrogance of Agony, and also Zwielicht and Symphony of a Dying Star, because those songs are, like I said, a lot more different than our previous stuff. And it could have been the how do you say it? It could have been that most people are like, oh, that doesn't sound really like Mental Cruelty. That's not
Mm.
good. But most of the people were like super open, and I think that's really cool.
So do I, and I think the biggest thing we can take away from this is we keep naming several different songs throughout the album, that the whole thing in general from beginning to end is a pretty stunning release and an incredible step up for Mental Cruelty as
Thank you
well.
very much.
We talk about progression, but ultimately it's just exciting to see. As a band, as a group, together, do you think, and we did touch upon a little bit of this before, but as a group, do you think you've got a good understanding on what being in a modern band requires? And I'm talking about the demands of constant content, social media promotion, and generally having to be more open and put yourself out there. Do you think you've got a good handle on that as a group?
Uh, I think so. Yeah. Because like I said, I'm not really into social
Mm.
media, and it's always like a battle of uh, being open for different stuff, but also to be authentic to yourself. But yeah, I think it works pretty well. So we have some we did some social media stuff we never did before. We had a lot of behind the scenes of the music
Mm.
videos, which I thought was pretty cool. And of course, it's a little bit more private, but I think this content was really funny and people liked it. So yes, I think so.
So you found ways to make it fun for yourselves as much as humanly possible.
Yeah, exactly.
That's to be honest, that seems to be the best you can possibly do. Try and make something fun out of it because it is such a drag. And I'm not sure if you know, but as of today, there's a brand new one to get on as well. You seen
Yeah,
that? Yeah.
yeah.
So another one to get on it. I'll take it though. Overall, then you do it because it's a necessary evil, but you don't particularly like it.
Yeah, I mean, I think social media and the internet itself, it's a great thing to connect, and but it's also very how do you say it, uh, overflowing. Can you say
Mm,
it like this?
yeah, I
Uh,
like it.
a lot, a lot at a time. It can be really exhausting,
Overwhelming. Yes.
overwhelming. That was the word I was searching for. Overwhelming, yeah.
Hand in hand with that, how about when it comes to statistics and stream numbers and all that? Again, are you able to distance yourself and not obsess over that side of things?
Yes, definitely, because like I said, it isn't really that stuff isn't really important for me. Of course, I'm happy when I see like, oh, streams going well and everything, but for me personally, the thing I care about the most is I always explain it like the first time I came in contact with that music. I was a little kid, was probably like, let me think, 7 years old, and I went into our local library because you were able to borrow CDs from there,
Of
music CDs.
course.
And at that time, when I was 7, I wanted to borrow the new 50 Cent record, but it was already borrowed from another guy. And I looked what else is there, and I saw that particular record with that red hand and the chain on it, Saint Anger, Metallica.
Oh,
And
wow.
it didn't had like the logo on it or anything. It was just like the artwork, and I was like, damn, that looks cool. I'm gonna take this with me. And I was blown away when I listened to it at home. And I know most people don't really like that record, but I love it. It was the first
Mm.
time I came in contact with metal, and I got the whole discography of Metallica afterwards, and it blew my mind. And I I felt an energy I've never felt before, and a lot of love, and and yeah, it was a crazy experience, and I felt so much happiness at that moment. And when I hear people talk about our music in this kind of context, when they're like, oh, your music helped me so much, or oh, when I listened to that song, I was so happy. That's the biggest gift I can receive as a musician, and that's the one thing that makes me super happy to be a musician.
It feels like the ultimate goal, particularly these days. Nobody wants to have to focus on things like streaming numbers, money earned, and
Yeah,
stuff like that because it's so difficult. So if you
it
can, if you
is.
can have one person come to you and say, "Hey, that music's helped me," or "It made me feel this way," I mean, it's so rewarding.
It is. It is. For me, it's the greatest gift I can receive.
It's incredible. What's an achievable goal then you would like to potentially complete before the year is over? We've got about what 5.5 months to go. Is there something you think is achievable?
Mm, I don't know. Maybe hop on a cool tour with some cool
Mm.
bands. We don't have anything planned yet, but we will see what the future has have for us, and maybe we're gonna make something work. Uh, yeah, but that's about it. Like I think this year is gonna be a little bit more chill for us. If we gonna have some opportunities, we're gonna take them. But uh, besides that, I think we need to relax a little bit.
Well, we are knee deep in festival season at this stage as well, and that's going to continue until like September. So that's going to wipe out
Yeah,
most of the year anyway.
yeah, exactly.
Okay, we reached the part of the interview, the last section, where things get changed up a bit. This
All
is
right.
Ozzy Osbourne, and in his head,
Oh,
he holds a random selection of cards, and they can be the most serious to the most nonsensical thing you'll ever hear. I'll be
all right.
pulling out 5, and then you'll answer
Okay.
them, yeah?
Yeah,
Okay,
sounds cool.
right. Let's do this. All right, I've got number 6. What is the last thing you do before you go to sleep?
The last thing I do before I go
Hmm.
to sleep, listening to music.
The last
I'm
thing.
Yeah, yeah. Every day, like when I came home, I come home from work every day. The first thing I'm gonna do is I play a little bit of drums, because I really enjoy playing the drums. And afterwards, I'm most of the time I'm either writing songs or I'm laying in my bed, have my headphones in, and check out new bands or just listen to the bands I listened to in the past. I just enjoy listening to music so much. So sometimes I fell asleep with the music.
Mm.
It depends.
Yeah, I was about to say, you're falling asleep, waking up at 3 a.m. to some devilish screams in your ears.
Yeah, sometimes.
Fantastic. Okay, let's get another one out. All right, number 60. Okay, ooh, this could be a bit of a difficult one. Depends if you've read or seen many of these. What is a good Stephen King book to movie adaptation, in your opinion?
Oh, I don't even know Stephen King stuff.
So,
I probably know some stuff, but I'm
yeah,
not the
like
biggest Stephen King fan.
Yeah, you know
Yeah,
what?
it was very good. But the old movies, I really like the old movies.
The old one with Tim
Uh,
Curry, the two-part one, yeah?
yes, I think the newer movies are okay, but I don't think they made the clown like super scary. It's all the CGI and stuff. It takes away a lot of that horrific feeling you had when you watched the old movies. Because the first time I watched it, I was probably like 14, 15, something like that. And since then, I'm afraid of clowns.
Really?
Like,
Okay.
yes, it's
Wow.
like
Wow.
I was so scared by it. It was because it was more human, because you saw a person just like painted as a clown, and it made it so much more scary than a CGI thing. I I,
Mm.
I think it's with most stuff. Same with Lord of the Rings. I'm the biggest Lord of the Rings fan in the fucking world, and I love the Lord of the Rings movies, and I hated what they were doing in the Hobbit with the
Mm.
CGI orcs and everything. It took away so much of the scare factor, and but also the Hobbit movies are cool, not as good as Lord of the Rings, but yeah.
I have to ask though, what about Rings of Power? How do you feel about Rings of Power?
I don't know. I think it would be a good series if the name wouldn't be Lord of the Rings. If I because I think the story itself, the main character Galadriel, I think
Mm.
her character is a little bit off. I
Interesting.
think the main character in the books, she has a totally different personality. And in the series it's kind of different, and I was a little bit like, oh, that's sad, because I was hoping for a little bit of character development and everything, and I didn't really see that.
I love the way you put that though. It would be a good show if it didn't have Lord of the Rings in the title. That's such
Yeah.
a great way to sum it up. Okay, let's do another one. Number 68. Name one band or artist you'd one day like to be on tour with.
It's got to be Metallica.
Yeah.
Will probably never happen, but I'm just super thankful that these guys introduced me to this kind of music. And to this day, I listen to Metallica almost every day. And they did so many great records. And James Hetfield is my idol. He taught me how to play guitar, because when I tried to learn all the Metallica songs, I was struggling a lot. And then I watched the live videos of it,
Mhm.
and you see James Hetfield just down pick like a maniac, and I was like, oh, that's how you're supposed to play it. And then I started just down pick everything, and it helped me a lot. And yeah, Metallica, gotta be Metallica.
I don't think it's impossible. They're still touring heavily. I mean, look at what they're currently doing around the world right now, killing it on that tour.
Let's hope for the best.
Okay, number 54. Have you ever, I have to ask first, have you ever played Monopoly?
Yes, I have.
Okay, then, what is your go-to purchase when playing Monopoly?
Oh, that's a hard one, because I played Monopoly, but the last time I played was probably like 15 years ago.
Are you a train station kind of person? Are you utilities? Do you go for a specific color street?
I don't know. Like I said, I know I played the game before, but I don't actually know the rules anymore and everything. So I guess
Capitalism is the rule. Buy everything. I did
buy
say it was
everything.
random. Okay, let's do another one then. 83. Have you ever been so scared in your life that you just closed your eyes and ran away?
Oof. Um, yes, yes. Uh,
Yeah.
I
Can you
remember when
share?
I was a little, yeah, I remember when I was a little kid. I was probably like 3 or 4 years old. It was Halloween, and it was a party at our kindergarten. And my mom asked me, "What do you want to get dressed up? Like, which costume do you want?" And I was like, "Oh, I want to have a vampire costume." My mom was like, "All right, cool." And then she dressed me as a vampire and put all the makeup on. And she was like, "Ah, you want to see yourself?" And I was like, "Yeah, yeah." And then I watched in the mirror and I was screaming and I was so afraid. And yeah, probably,
Incredible.
probably that.
Incredible. What an amazing makeup job.
Yeah.
Okay, that is it. But I do actually want to ask an additional one that's from me personally, because we talked,
Yes,
Metallica's
of
come up
course.
several times. And I happen to be a huge Metallica fan. It's the band that got me into metal, funny enough, as well. So
Awesome.
it's the age-old question. What is the best Metallica album, in your opinion?
But it's a hard one.
Mm,
Uh, if I would answer that question from my heart,
yeah.
it would be Saint Anger, because it was the album that made me be a musician and a diehard fan. But if I answer that question music wise, I would
Mm.
say uh, it's so hard because the first four records, they are so damn good. I
Yeah.
think it would be a tie between Ride the Lightning and Master of Puppets, because I love Ride the Lightning. I think Fight Fire with Fire is probably my favorite Metallica song of all time. I think it's
Wow.
so thrashy, so fast. And I don't know if you know the video when they played it on their Master of Puppets tour in 86.
I've
They
seen
played
it,
it
yeah.
like 30, 40 BPM faster, and it has such an energy. I love that song. And also all the other songs. I know Metallica don't really like that song, but I think Escape is a pretty good song
Mm.
on the record as well. But if I think about it now, it's probably Master of Puppets, because it's banger after banger. Master of Puppets has my favorite riff of all time. The riff in The Thing That Should Not Be.
Oh, okay.
Rise.
All right.
Oh, it's so heavy. I love that. So probably Master of Puppets.
I completely understand. I would go through the same debate, but then I always stop and go, Master of Puppets has Orion on it, and it's
Oh
like the
yeah,
greatest instrumental ever. So
it
that
is.
kind of,
It
yeah.
is.
But that's Metallica, Mental Cruelty. This is why it's out now. It's been out for almost 2 weeks by Century Media Records. It is an incredible release. Go check that out. If not this year, I hope to see you we all hope to see you in the UK next year.
I hope so as
Uh,
well. I hope so as well. Would be great.
yeah, absolutely.
Gonna have
Listen,
a few beers with you then.
hell yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a really great interview.
Thank you very much for watching. If you liked what you saw, please help us out by giving us a thumbs up and hitting that subscribe button. If you really liked what you saw, consider donating to keep the website and channel running by buying us a coffee via our coffee page or picking up some merch from our Big Cartel store. You can check us out on gbhbl.com as well as via our social media, Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, as well as listen to our interviews via SoundCloud, Apple Music and Spotify. Just search for GBHBL. Games, horror and heavy metal. What else is life for?